What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Boys Podcast, episode 20. I know it's been a while since we've seen y'all, but, things happen, but the day is finally here. We gonna get into Dallas and Philadelphia Sunday Night Football here in a little bit, and I tell y'all are not ready for what's about to come through y'all's ears.
Carl's missing it, man. He's missing it. It's gonna be the toilet bowl for the NFC least, and I can't wait for it.
We're going to go over a few games before we get to that. And we're going to start off with probably the most embarrassing loss of the year when the Cowboys got their butts destroyed by the Washington football team 25-3. Buddha, your thoughts, please?
Okay, here's the thing. Everybody's acting like this is some, awful thing for Dallas, and everyone's like, oh, Dallas didn't hit on all cylinders. You're right, we sucked in all cylinders. You got to think when it comes to fundamental-wise or, scheme-wise, the Redskins had just about every single defensive line position filled with a first-round draft pick.
True.
So,
True.
I mean, we had a literally lackluster fourth, fifth string practice squad offensive line throughout the whole game. What do you expect is going to happen? Everyone's acting like this is a shocker. They beat the brakes off of us. We can't run the ball with the only player that we have left that actually somewhat, gets the job done with a shitty or crappy offensive line. But, I mean, I'm done with that game. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I can give the analytics for it and whatnot. I'm done with it. Go ahead.
That's fair.
I really can't say anything on the game because my Eagles suffered the same L to them in the first game of the season, and we were up 17-0 and we still lost. But I don't know, dude. I think losing Dak is hurt y'all a lot. I really do. On top of all the other injuries you had, so if your offense isn't clicking and your defense is pretty bad, I mean, there's nothing you can really do to fix it. I don't know. But
all right, I'll go over Sats real quick, and then we'll move on to Philly, New York. As far as the Cowboys, before Andy Dalton went out, 9-19, 75 yards, 1 interception, was sacked 3 times. Also, on another note, the fact that guy was not suspended for this hit is bullshit.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so I wasn't even going to go into detail about that. That dude should not even deserve a spot. He shouldn't have a spot in the league anymore. That's just my opinion. Continue.
Ben DiNucci came in relief, 2 of 3, 39 yards. He also had 1 carry for no yards.
Ben DiNucci.
He was sacked 3 times as well. You're going to get sacked when you play the Washington football team. I mean, their defensive line is ridiculous. Far as running back, Zeke led the way, 12 carries, 45 yards. Not really much else to be found. It's also going to be hard to run the ball on Washington because their defensive line is so good. Receivers, it was led by Amari Cooper, 7 catches for 80 yards. Nobody else really had more than 20, which is easy to...
CeeDee Gallup had 0.
Yep.
0 receptions.
You ain't going to do much with those two. Fumbles, y'all did fumble the ball 3 times, but you didn't lose any of them. 2 by DiNucci, 1 by Andy Dalton. And led on defense by Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch with 12 tackles apiece. Props to Marcus Lawrence. Actually showed up for once. 7 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. As far as on Washington's side, Kyle Allen, 15 of 25, 194, 2 scores. Antonio Gibson had a field day on this Dallas run defense. 20 carries, 128 on the ground, 1 score. Led by Terry McLaurin, 7 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown. And Logan Thomas, 4 catches, 60 yards, and a TD. They were led on defense by Chase Young and Cole Holcomb, who ran over Zeke in the backfield. And that's it for the Washington-Dallas game. And now we're going to move on to Philadelphia. 22-21 victory over the New York Giants last Thursday night. Wasn't pretty. This game's going to be remembered for the fact that Daniel Jones had the biggest faceplant that I've ever seen in my natural life. I'll let Delby go into his thoughts, and then we'll go into stats, and Buddha can give his thoughts if he's got any.
I think they started the game well. But after that, it was just what I've seen all year, inconsistency from Wentz and the whole offense. The defense kept us in the game like they had the whole year. And then the fourth quarter came and we're down. And we come back and win. We almost did the same thing against the Ravens. I don't know. I don't like that, but I don't think Wentz played an amazing game, but he was clutch in the fourth quarter when we needed him, which I like to see. But yeah, I mean, nothing really has changed my mind since seeing the game. So,
Buddha, you got any thoughts?
So here's my thing. People, specifically, most famously, Shannon Sharp, he talks about how much praise he gives for the Eagles' defensive line and how they're just a bunch of animals. Everyone likes to talk about how awful Dallas' defense is, but at least Dallas didn't make Daniel Jones look like Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson. So even though he face planted, it doesn't matter. He still torched your defense. And I don't really care. That's all I have to say. I'm just excited for next week's this matchup against the Wiggles or the Eagles, as y'all may know them as.
All right, Daniel Jones, 20 of 30, 187, 2 scores, 1 interception, sacked 3 times. He also had 4 carries for 92 yards, even though most of that was on that one play. They didn't really have any other rushing game. Wayne Gallman added a rushing touchdown. Sterling Shepard, 59 yards on 6 catches and a score. Golden Tate also added a touchdown. For the Eagles, Carson Wentz, 25 of 43, 359 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked 3 times. Not really a running game to be found. Carson Wentz did add a rushing touchdown, led by Richard Rodgers and Travis Fulgham, because who knows who the Eagles are throwing out there at receiver nowadays.
that's right.
Beautiful throw by Carson Wentz to Boston Scott to win the game late in the fourth quarter. As Delby said, the Eagles' defense is the reason they won this football game. They had a lot of turnovers on defense. They had a lot of tackles for loss. They were led in 8 tackles by Nathan Gary, who had a sack and a tackle for loss. Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox were everywhere. 2 tackles for loss apiece. They had 7.5 tackles for loss, 8 quarterback hits, 3 pass deflections. They also had an interception off of Jalen Mills. That's pretty much it for Philly and New York. The Giants are just not a good football team, and the Eagles really aren't either, and nobody in the NFC East is, but you got the Eagles are sitting 2-4-1 in the first place in the NFC East, so that's really all that matters, I guess. Okay. Let me put this down. New Orleans and Carolina.
We're just sit back and listen.
27-24 Saints win down in the Dome, and I would literally like for anyone that watches the game of football to look at that Drew Brees touchdown and tell me how in the world is that a touchdown? The ball does not cross the plane. He then fumbles it. We're taking it back in the other direction, but they blow the whistle dead. Oh, and the fact that you're not going to get any penalty calls down in this place, which that doesn't bother me. I'm used to it. If you play down in the Dome, you're not going to get penalty calls, no matter who the Saints are playing. What I don't understand is how this Panthers defense lets the New Orleans Saints just have their way on third down. They were 12 of 14 on third down. They couldn't get off the field. Carolina was 6 of 9, but the Saints were 12 of 14 on third down. You're not going to win football games when you allow a team to go over 90% of their third downs. Also, game of inches because of how close Joey Sly came to hitting the longest field goal in league history. I mean, that would have been good from 64 and 9/10. It was ridiculously close. Anybody that listens to this podcast or knows me knows that I have a massive disdain for the entire Saints organization from top to bottom. That being said, they did play well without Michael Thomas, and they did play well without Emmanuel Sanders. However, as the Saints sit at 4-2, they are not better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to go through stats, and then I want to hear y'all's thoughts. I'll go through Carolina's first. Teddy Bridgewater, pretty damn good. 23 of 28, 254 yards, 2 scores, only sacked once, a 128 quarterback rating. No rushing game to be found. I'm not even going to talk about it. Curtis Samuel had the lone rushing touchdown. DJ Moore, 4 catches, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. Robbie Anderson added 74 yards on 6 catches. Literally, Shaq Thompson had 13 tackles on defense. Jeremy Chin had 8. There was no defense to be found in our game, at least on our side. Drew Brees on the New Orleans side, 29 of 36, 287 yards and 2 scores. Taysom Hill threw a pass for 0 yards because that's Taysom Hill. He's an absolute bum. Alvin Kamara, 14 catches for 83 yards. Sorry, carries. 14 carries for 83 yards. 8 catches for 65 yards. Marquez Callaway led the way with them with 8 catches for 75 yards. He did get hurt at the end of the game, so the Saints are really hurting at the receiver position. Their defense didn't really do much either. Marshawn Lattimore and Marcus Williams led with 6 tackles apiece. Cameron Jordan didn't do anything in this game. Pay Taylor Moton, please. Carolina drops to 3-4. They do play tonight against the Atlanta Falcons. It should be a winnable game. It should be because the Falcons are awful. Yeah, that's my 2 thoughts. The Saints can still go fall off a cliff, but I want to hear y'all's thoughts.
Yeah, I just think that, like you said, it's a game of inches, but the Saints are beatable. And I think the Panthers have overachieved on their expectations tremendously. So you can be proud of that. But, yeah, I mean, y'all are fine. You got the Falcons. And, I mean, if you beat the Saints and the Saints somehow has it, I mean, you could maybe be a wild card behind the Bucs. Maybe. Just depending on your record. So, I mean, yeah, you're better. Your team's better than both of ours. So, I think you're good. But, I mean, the defense has to do better, of course.
I agree. You can't let somebody go 12-14 on third down. Buddha, you got
that's what I was gonna say, dude. I mean, like, y'all definitely played a lot higher level football than what I was expecting, and I kind of told you that could have happened at the beginning of the year. I saw every single thing you kind of need in every department. Y'all kind of have somewhat as I mean, you got DJ Moore, rising star. Y'all's defense seems to be playing lights out football when y'all want to. It seems like you can compete with the best when you play against the best, but sometimes y'all play down to the competition. But I mean, it's just any team does that. I'm not. That's not talking anything.
I mean, that's a Carolina. I mean, that whole playing down to the competition is quite literally a Carolina Panthers and Virginia Tech Hokies staple.
Ain't it, dude? But like I said, I can't really say anything because your team's playing hands down better than what both of me and Delby's teams are. So I think y'all have a chance to, I think you compete in the division. The Buccaneers, Tom Brady hasn't quite shown me yet this year. Everyone's really putting him back on the MVP talk. He hasn't quite.
I ain't putting him there, but I mean, he played his ass off last week. So
I still don't think he's quite that MVP caliber player yet that he was. So, but I think you'll have a chance to upset.
Okay, let's just squash this now. Unless your name is Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. Maybe Kyler Murray if he has a few more games.
Yes, Kyler Murray.
Maybe a Dak Prescott if he didn't get hurt. But sorry.
I'm not gonna. Hey! Well, of course, the way he was playing, I'm not gonna disagree with you. But yeah, as of right now, Russell Wilson throwing 3 interceptions against Arizona did hurt his case, so Rodgers might have gotten closer. But if it ended right now, I would still pick Russell Wilson. But Aaron Rodgers has been balling. And now he's facing a Minnesota secondary this week that has 4 corners out. I mean, they're going to have field days. Alrighty. Let's just all agree on the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to put up 60 points on the New York Jets.
Oh, yeah. They're going to kick
Nah, dude. The Jets are going to upset them, dude. They're going to get upset. It's going to happen.
Here's what I want to know, though, before we get into Philly and Dallas. Who do y'all have between Pittsburgh and Baltimore in the game of the week?
Pittsburgh. Until Pittsburgh proves me otherwise and no one can stop them, Pittsburgh Steelers. Hammer that down, baby.
I'm with Buddha 100%, dude.
I'm going to pat
they're
that
nasty.
tree and hammer down.
They're somehow 6-0. I don't get it, but...
All right, I've got.
And that's a rivalry game too, man. They're just going to play extra. It's just going to be an extra type of feeling out there.
Yep, I've got.
It'll be a good game.
Yep, I've also got Pittsburgh winning 25-20. Alrighty. Well, it is that time that we have been waiting for 3 months since we started this podcast. The Dallas Cowboys travel to Philadelphia to take on the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football, which Thank God they scheduled this before the year because y'all don't deserve to be on Sunday Night Football with the way y'all's teams are playing. I'm just going to go through what I think, and then I'm going to let y'all have the floor. Just so y'all know listening, there's a viewer discretion is advised for language because it's going to happen. Depends what Dallas does at quarterback. If Ben DiNucci is starting this game with the way the Eagles defense played last week, it's going to take a miracle, in my opinion, for Dallas to win this football game. I just don't see it. If the game was in Dallas, maybe. But considering the game is in Philadelphia and with the issues at the quarterback position and the defense is hot garbage, I've got Philadelphia 30-13. I don't think the game's close. Anyway, all right, you guys have fun.
Hey, but you start us out.
Okay, before we start, just coming at each other too much, because I know it's going to happen. I want to say this to all these people who are acting like this game is just going to be a crap show and it's not going to be fun to watch. You mentioned the comment it shouldn't be a Sunday Night Football game. At the end of the day, people were talking about, like, when the Cowboys played the Redskins this year, that, like, the Cowboys-Redskins rivalry is still, like, one of the highest ones. I still, as a Cowboys fan, in my opinion, with all the years I've watched games, I think at this point, within both those teams and, like, the games we played against each other and the games we played with other teams in the NFC East, that's the biggest rival in the NFC East right now. Whenever we play each other, like, it's always different. Like, it's always much chirpier. Like, you don't really see players that necessarily get under, like, their skin. I mean, everyone talks about it. So I don't think we need to be acting like this isn't going to be a big game. Now,
hold on a second. While when I mean it that it probably shouldn't be, I mean just because of record-wise. This is a rivalry game. Y'all hate each other. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Dallas hates Philly. Philly hates Dallas. So the rivalry aspect I understand, but off of record. Also, to make a little note, if Dallas is going to win this football game, their defense, more importantly, defensive line, is going to have to get in Carson Wentz's face and force him to throw interceptions and fumbles. That's the only way Dallas is going to win this football game is if they can force turnovers. If they let Carson Wentz sit back there, he will pick that secondary apart. So for Dallas to win this football game, Zeke has got to play like Zeke. Zeke cannot be fumbling the ball. Zeke has got to bring back his 2016, 2018 self and prove to why he's one of the highest paid running backs in football. He's got to be great to take the pressure off of Ben DiNucci because you know the Eagles are going to send pressure and pressure and pressure after him because this is going to be his first start. CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup got to help Amari Cooper out. You can't go 2 weeks in a row without a catch. That's inexcusable. You know you're going to get picked apart in the back end because of y'all's secondary. You know that. So you're going to have to get a pass rush, and Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith are going to have to come to play, which is no doubt because they've been doing that for most of the year.
Can I say what I think the biggest part to Dallas' success in this game is? There are two things. One, it's if they can respond to mistakes. Like DiNucci's going to pick, and whether the defense can come out and respond to those mistakes. And if they don't do that, like they've shown they haven't, they're going to lose. Second is Carson Wentz. I believe if there was ever a game for Carson Wentz to win, it'd be this one. I think I think this is for Wentz in general. But if he loses, I mean, good God, don't even get me started on that. But that's what I think.
Go ahead.
Here's my hope. My hope is that I already told you all about this. When Dak got hurt, I thought that if this team was as close-knit as what they always used to claim to be and all that stuff, I thought that things really would have started to come together when Dak got hurt. I really thought, like Zeke claimed that, he's starting to embrace this leadership role. I don't want him to talk in press conferences and say he embraced the leadership role. I just want him to keep his head down and run the freaking rock like he's always been good at. I want him to do it well. Now, y'all have already talked about some of the key things for us winning. For one, dudes just need to start buying into the schemes. I think at this point, I've already heard about this already. Worley got cut. Dante Poe got cut. Everson Griffin got traded. Now, I can get all the criticism from any of y'all. You can't watch film and tell me that none of those players didn't deserve to be cut. They all were not playing to the hype. Specifically, Poe and Everson Griffin. They just weren't playing up to the hype. Now, with that being said, everyone's still claiming our defense is hot garbage. I mean, you mentioned that earlier. My thing with that is, you're right, we're still giving up a ton of points. But I think the defense is slowly starting to wake up. They've slowly started to regress. I know we still giving up a decent amount of points, but if you notice, the points are starting to get lower. Our defensive guys that are paid to make plays are starting to make plays. Lawrence is starting to look like the normal DeMarcus Lawrence. I'll go into him some more later. This week, this is the defense has to show up for Dallas. And here's my thing. I think they have all the capabilities for them to do it. For one, Chidobe Awuzie, which he's a big part of that Dallas secondary. He is slated to 95 to 99% sure of coming back for that game. Sean Lee, also one of the biggest field generals, even when he's hurt or not hurt, he's one of the most brightest linebacker minds in the league. Whatever he's in, he's going to make that defense better. Whenever he gets reps, he knows coverages. He can, no, let me finish.
I have a question. I just have a question. I don't know.
Okay.
When did these players get hurt?
So
they played this season.
So Chidobe Awuzie, he actually got a pick in the first game against the Rams. He got hurt, I think, either that game at the later half of that game or the second game. I can't quite remember. Lee was hurt all throughout the beginning of the season. He was supposed to come back like 3 or 4 or something like that. But his progression, since he's an older player, his progression. So he hasn't played. So he hasn't played yet. But for the most part of the season, he's been practicing. But he was on that short-term IR for a little bit. But so with all those guys put in, and here's my thing with the defensive line: we may not have these once-time Pro Bowlers that are on our defensive line roster anymore, but our defensive line just needs to figure out, including our ends like Lawrence and Gregory. I'm excited because Randy Gregory, you're going to see a ton of more snaps with him this week. You didn't really see a lot with him this past week because they're kind of bringing him back slowly into the defense because he's off his suspension, which was ridiculous to begin with. We've had this beginning of the season. We had the pieces of the puzzle to make this team great, but guys haven't bought in. That's when you have all of these players taking the soft route, doing these anonymous comments, saying the coaches aren't doing well. I told y'all about this.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, talk.
Because I've heard about this. Do you think if y'all continue to struggle at the end of the year, you guys fire Mike McCarthy?
We fired McCarthy, one and done. People were bringing up the one and done comment. Here, and this was literally what I was just about to get into before you asked that. So, this is a new scheme, new system that's put in all throughout the board. That comes in special team, that comes in offense, that comes in defense. These players obviously aren't buying into the system. If people were thinking that it's the coaching and really believe in these anonymous players' comments, you obviously don't understand the game of football. And people were saying this is no excuse, but there's no OTAs, there's no offseason, stuff like that. There's only a couple teams in the league right now that are doing well with new coaching staffs. You know all about that. You know all about that.
And here's the thing.
That's difficult for any team. The Panthers just so happen to be ahead of schedule and start playing up to the scheme.
See, here's the thing I told you. I told you about a week ago. People can say what they want about the coaching, and I've said plenty about Dallas's defensive coordinator, Mike Nolan, whose schemes are not good, but players aren't buying in. Our players have bought into Matt Rule's system and scheme. Y'all's players have not bought in. This is a players' issue.
Yes.
And I think it's going to be partly resolved, and you're going to see a little bit of that this week because we cut those particular players and traded off those particular players.
But Buddha, what's the reason behind them not buying the system? Could it be that Jason Garrett was softer on them and now it's a little more stricter, or they just don't like McCarthy or something like that?
No, so I mean everybody that knows that's Dallas Cowboys fan knows that Jerry Jones has his hands he's literally puppeteering everybody. I mean, he's basically he's the owner, the general manager. If he's not one of those higher up positions, then his son's one of those higher up positions. What's up, big dog? But yeah, it's definitely gonna take either this game or like maybe the next game for you really to see that these players are gonna start to buy in. I think that they're pissed off with what everybody's saying. We have Zach Martin back with the offensive line, so even with DiNucci, if he happens to play, obviously the Eagles are going to send a lot more heat because they know that he's a younger quarterback. You want to make him fast. I think it's going to help having Zach Martin in. He's definitely play a big role. I mean, I don't think he can carry a whole offensive line by any means, but he'll definitely give DiNucci a little bit more time. But two, we have some of the best receivers in the game that are really good at short routes and catching and running after the catch. When you got Amari Cooper, he's probably one of the best route runners in the league, I think. And you saw that play calling. You saw that play calling in that past game with Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton was by no means as elusive as a player as Dak Prescott, and so that's what you saw a lot more. And you saw a team doesn't blitz a lot start going crazy and blitz on Andy Dalton, and sure enough,
he's not.
What? He's not what?
As elusive as Dak Prescott. Stop it.
I just said he's not as elusive. He's not.
You said he was. I was like,
No. And, so you could tell they had to condense the playbook down and have the receivers run shorter routes, and they relied on the run when they could. But they obviously couldn't have a run game because they had absolutely no one in there that was knowing what they were doing. With Zach Martin being in there, I think you'll see the run game open up a little bit better. I think Zeke is going to realize that he actually needs to just stop talking about being a team leader.
Take the sleeves off, Zeke.
He did last game, and he didn't fumble. But he also had to help with the offensive line. So, I mean, Eric Dickerson talked about it on Skip and Shannon's show. He was talking about how everyone's criticizing Zeke for not producing. You can't produce. Running backs can't produce. You can't move if your offensive line is not blocking. So I think with Martin, I think he'll establish that. And I don't know. I think that we have every tool in the toolbox to beat the Eagles. But, I mean, I could very well seeing the Eagles start getting ahead early and us doing the same thing we've done all this year. So it goes both ways. It's one of those things where I watch Dallas, I can't automatically go in there knowing that they're going to play a certain way because they never end up playing the way you think they will. Even though they should play a certain way, they won't do it. And obviously you can tell that Mike McCarthy hasn't got a chance to really put himself into play calling because Kellen Moore's still holding the reins because Jerry Jones made that decision. I don't know. I want to see something different this week. I want to see something. I want to see them start playing a little bit better. I want to see players on the sideline be amped up. They just seemed like they didn't care last week. And that kind of football, that's not fun to watch. Even as a big fan, that's not fun to watch. I just want to see them act like they care this week. That's all I'm asking. So that's why this is a big game. But it's not necessarily a must-win.
All right, Delby.
I mean, yeah, I think it's going to – I really do think it's going to be a good game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I really don't. I think both teams are approaching it as a big game, and I think they should approach it as a big game because, I mean, to be honest, we're the only two teams that will probably get the playoffs in the NFC East. But I don't know. I could be wrong. The Washington Redskins are tied with the Cowboys. But, yeah, I think it's going to take our offense not being inconsistent like it has been the whole season. Hopefully throwing in Jalen Hurts a little bit. I would love to see that, especially this week. You're getting Rager back. I think that's going to be a good deep threat since we just lost Deshaun.
Let him run some Wildcat.
I know. I don't know, dude. But I think we're moving the offensive around a little bit this week. Finally, we got some people coming back, and then defense just keep playing the way we plan. Jim Schwartz has done an amazing job the last couple of weeks of defense compared to the first and second weeks. But yeah, the thing it comes down to is just who's going to want it more and more energy. I honestly think my Eagles are going to win, of course, but yeah.
Okay. Here's the question. As bad as Dallas secondary is, it's not like they're going against all pros here. So if this is a game for Dallas' secondary to actually play competent football, this is the game because they're going against
Exactly.
Travis
Exactly.
Fulgham. And there's no disrespect to Fulgham. He's been balling. But this isn't like facing Washington, who has a superstar in the making in Terry McLaurin, or technically even the Giants and Darius Slayton and Sterling Shepard. There's also a big thing, just taking a look at the injury report right in front of me. Andy Dalton hasn't been ruled out. He's still in concussion protocol, so let's get that straight. The Eagles have...
He showed up to meetings. He hasn't practiced yet. He's still in protocol.
No, I don't think he's going to play. But if you look at this right here, the biggest name on this injury report for Philadelphia is Miles Sanders. Because if Miles Sanders doesn't play, that changes the entire way Philly plays football.
I agree.
I think here's the real question. Is we continue to talk about this every single week. If Carson Wentz comes out and struggles, you have a second-round guy behind him. Like, you got to do more. And to me, this is the same issue I have with Virginia Tech and Quincy Patterson. Defense knows when Philly brings in Jalen Hurts, it's going to be a Wildcat run. Everybody knows it. It's exactly the same way in Blacksburg when Virginia Tech runs with Quincy Patterson. There's only one more thing in Blacksburg that annoys me than Quincy Patterson runs is the freaking jet sweeps.
Yes.
But back to Philly and Dallas. I think Dallas isn't at a disadvantage in this game in the secondary because they're not facing any crazy good receivers. If Miles Sanders is out, that even helps them more, especially with Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith playing like they have been. It's really just going to come down to, can Dallas get pressure on Carson Wentz? That's the key to the game for me. Is can Dallas force Carson Wentz into turning the football over?
I think you're going to see Randy Gregory, Alden Smith, and DeMarcus Lawrence have an absolute heyday and make sure that Jalen Hurts comes into that game because we're going to make Carson Wentz look so bad.
Oh, really?
Because here's what I think with Carson Wentz, and this is why y'all will never, ever, ever, ever realize from your mistakes. I mean, because look in the NFL. Look at Tua. Tua's starting to play for the Dolphins. They've already hit Fitzpatrick. They've hit Fitzmagic. Joey B, good old Joey B, he's playing well. Old Air Bear, Tyrod. The doctors are like, oh crap, we have a future Hall of Famer.
Let's not go that far with her.
Let's go ahead and puncture Tyrod's lungs on purpose so we can bench him and put him in a crappy situation that everyone has put Tyrod in any organization he's at, which is awful for Tyrod.
What are you talking about?
The thing about it is, what you got to learn is y'all will never put in Jalen Hurts because Carson Wentz will continue to give y'all hope. Have one of these games where he beats a mediocre team in the fourth quarter, but then he has a complete, absolute crap show of a game the next time. And y'all like, oh my gosh, he's awful. And then he has a good game. You're like, oh my gosh, he's back. MVP Wentz is back.
Hey, wait a second.
Hurts will never be put in because of that. Hurts will never be put in because of that.
Do the Cowboys beat any good teams ever?
Do the Cowboys play any good teams? Yes.
Do they beat any?
I mean, we haven't really played we played with the Seahawks. They're a pretty good team this year. I'm more based on
I'm talking about
because I don't care about the past. I care about this year's team. This
team's pretty damn bad.
This isn't a history lesson. This is a podcast talking about sports that are happening in today's world.
I understand.
A couple years back when y'all.
I'm just saying. You're saying Carson Wentz plays a mediocre game. Okay.
I'm just saying, your organization will never learn. That's why Jalen Hurts will never be put in. Because they have too much hope in Carson Wentz.
But what was the Cowboys' record before Dak got hurt?
Dude, I don't care about all that. We can go into that story about why we're losing those games.
It's the same thing.
It wasn't Dak's fault. Dak was putting up record numbers that was going to break the passion record this year.
He's not winning games.
It's not his fault. I mean,
is it not? Really?
It wasn't his fault. No, I think he proved multiple times that
quarterback's the most important position. It's his fault.
Nah, defense wins championships, though. You also know about that nice quote.
I do, but still.
like I said, when we're going up 21-0 and we're losing 21-0 and Dak's going to come back, that's not necessarily.
Okay, but if your offense is clicking, your defense is going to torch, and that's exactly what's happened.
But the problem is, it's not necessarily an issue of our offense hasn't been clicking this year. I mean, if you looked at it, the reason why these teams are scoring for the most part is because these star players that they're playing a crap ton aren't playing well. Like Ezekiel Elliott fumbling and getting up 55 points this season. I mean, every single time he fumbles, he puts us in crappy situations where the defense, of course, is going to give up a touchdown. Daggone field goal at least. We actually showed some sign of life this past game against the Redskins. We had a fourth and goal stand. That's about the most promising thing I've seen all year. But it's all good. I'm ready. I think the Cowboys are going
to Delby's point about y'all not playing anybody or winning against games. You did lose to Seattle in a very close game. You honestly, if it wasn't for the Falcons' incompetence, you would only have one win. But
if the referees for against the Rams, with the Rams are a good team,
I know.
They would have been incompetent. We would have had a dub there too. That's it. We couldn't put that on there.
We're
not going to talk about the has and the what is.
I know. I'm just referencing Atlanta just to reference the Falcons can never hold a lead against anybody. But looking at the rest of y'all's schedule after today, you go back to Dallas and host the Steelers next week. Then you're off. Then Minnesota, Washington, which are both winnable games. At Baltimore. At Joe Burrow.
We played the same teams. We've played the same teams this year.
San Francisco.
I haven't said y'all haven't played anybody. You're the one that said that.
I'm saying all the teams you've mentioned we've played. So.
San Francisco, week 15. Week 16 is round 2 of this in Dallas. And week 17, you're at the Giants. I'll be honest with you, bro. I see 2 wins at most. Plus, I know Jerry Jones. If y'all lose this game, the more he's going to look to, we can get a good draft pick. Because Jerry Jones gets in his own head. Because all y'all's offseason acquisitions are not on the team anymore.
Yep, pretty much.
Because Dontari Poe couldn't stay. Dontari Poe was overweight and didn't care. I told you Dontari Poe was a bad signing.
Yeah, he was hot garbage.
I know how bad Darryl Worley is. He used to play for us. He's awful. Everson Griffin didn't do anything for y'all because he wasn't buying into the system. And props to y'all for at least getting something. But I kind of figured this before this year, but this is only proving to me how the Dallas Cowboys run as far as Dak Prescott can take them. In terms of...
Say it again, you cut off. I didn't hear you.
I said, I knew this before this year, but I really am confirming it now. Dallas Cowboys will only go as far as Dak Prescott can take them.
Only if he stays, though.
He ain't going
anywhere.
anywhere.
And I don't know why he would.
He ain't going anywhere. I guarantee you he ain't going anywhere.
That man's dude, his contract stock has gone up so much, dude. I wouldn't be surprised if he signed a $650 million contract with Jerry. Jerry Jones' hands don't get cramps writing checks in old Dallas.
Oh my God, how many times I've had to hear you say that?
Yeah. Then why ain't he done it?
Yeah, I don't know. Why is he not Earl Thomas? I don't know. Maybe something big is going to happen tonight. I'll get some dope notification.
Bro, I'm going to be blatantly honest with you. Everyone keeps talking about Dak's going to sign the franchise tag. Dak's going to sign the franchise tag that's going to pay him $38.5 million for next season. After this, he's going to get his long-term extension this offseason. I'm calling it right now.
He's going to get a $650 million deal.
He's going to get his extension this offseason. Calling it right now. And everyone's going to dissect and crap all over it. But let me be clear. The Dallas Cowboys are at least capable of getting into the playoffs without Dak Prescott. Without Dak Prescott, no chance. Alright guys, sorry about that. We had a lot of technical difficulties because that's all we can have around here. I was saying about how the Eagles definitely have the hardest schedule going forward. Cleveland, Seattle, Green Bay, New Orleans, Arizona. But that's for the future. All right, Buddha, what is your score prediction? He's
We
thinking,
got
guys.
21-28. Dallas.
Eagles, sorry, Cowboys 28-21.
Yep.
Oh, boy. All right.
Yep.
Delby? The amount of thinking that is going on this man's face.
27-10 Philadelphia.
Wow.
I like it. Just so you know, Carl's is 33 to...
If you don't mind me asking, who's going to score those touchdowns for the Eagles? The defense? That's the only way you're going to win that game.
Okay. Do you want me to answer your question or like?
I mean, yeah. If you legitimately know the names of the receivers on the roster that Quinn's can throw to.
Okay. I think Fulgham will get a touchdown. This is no order, okay? So I'm just saying these are who I think is going to score. Fulgham a touchdown. I can't really comment on the running backs because if it was Miles Sanders versus Boston Scott, that'd be a different story. So I'm not going to comment on that until I 100% know who's playing. I think Rodgers will score a touchdown. And
Aaron Rodgers for the Packers? Oh, he's going to score a ton.
no, I think one of the running backs will score one, so that's 3. And then I think Greg Ward or someone I don't know will surprise me and catch one. So
Good enough.
and we got a couple field goals in there. So I mean, that's I only want 3 of those. So the one that surprises me, I don't count because we were having 3 field goals. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about the same thing as it's going to be if Ben DiNucci's throwing the football.
What did you say?
I said...
Dude, DiNucci's 2 for 3 already. You can't judge and say that his throwing ability is not good. No one can even judge that.
Stop it.
You're going to tell me Ben DiNucci is not a good passer after one game of him alone throwing
He
3
threw
passes.
3 passes.
Well above 60%.
3 passes. He's still unknown. He's made 4 plays in his career. 4. A run for 0 yards and 3 passes.
What is Carl's prediction?
Carl's prediction
Sorry, my Wi-Fi is going in and out now.
is 33-10 Philadelphia, I believe.
My man, I gotta text him. I gotta text him.
All right.
Well, you can predict all you want to.
Okay. So, who do y'all have tonight?
You got your Panthers winning.
Panthers.
Scores. I want scores.
I want 28-14.
I like it.
Dang, this is tough.
It shouldn't be close. It really shouldn't.
I say 22-10 Panthers. It's supposed to be rainy, so I think it's gonna be a little wet conditions. So.
Going through, trying to see if we got any more. Just looking at the schedules. Tough matchup between the 49ers and Seahawks. Who y'all got? Who of course y'all got?
Seahawks.
Seattle?
Yeah, definitely. The Bird, baby.
The Saints will probably take care of the Bears. Bears are overrated. Sorry, Dad. But yeah, I've got Carolina 30-17.
It's gonna be a good night for football, bro.
I hope, man. But yeah, I think, man, he gone. So this was probably our shortest podcast ever.
Tuesday will be after next week, so the next one will be much better and longer.
This was supposed to be 21, but it was 20. We went through Philly Dallas. We went through last week's. We've talked about the MVP conversation between if your name is Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. Buddha just texted us. But yeah, I do think the Eagles are going to beat the Cowboys pretty handedly, if I'm being brutally honest.
I do too.
I just don't think I personally just don't think the Cowboys are equipped to beat the Eagles, personally. I just don't think they're equipped. I mean, they got too many injuries. Their quarterback situation is a big mess. Their secondary is god-awful. And with everything else. Before we go off the air, congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers for winning the World Series over the Tampa Bay Rays 4-2. Kevin Cash is the biggest moron on this side of the planet. But
stupid.
But then again, hopefully the Yankees will come back next year and actually act like they know how to play professional baseball.
I hope.
Virginia college football, the Pac-12 comes back next weekend. Top 3 teams: Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, or Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State. That 4th spot, who knows? Hopefully Virginia Tech can rebound against Louisville, but this is Virginia Tech we're talking about, so. Oregon returns to play Stanford. Not really any crazy games on the schedule this week in terms of ranked matchups. Got Clemson, Notre Dame in a few weeks, which is going to be an ass whooping. But it should be a good week in the NFL. Hopefully we can get it started off in a good mood tonight, sending Atlanta to 1-7 and putting us at 4-4 because we got to keep pace with the damn Saints because we lost to them.
You'll be alright.
Dirty bastards. But yeah, that's probably going to do it for episode 20 and our shortest episode of our entire podcast. But we'll get back next week. Hopefully have everybody here. And we shall get back to it. This was the Boys Podcast. That was Delby. That was Buddha. This is Big E. We will see y'all next week. The Boys out.
Yes, sir.